All right. 34.2. New York Tribune, January 1st, 1910. Dispatch from Huntington, West Virginia, December 31st, 1909. Three huge lights of almost uniform dimensions appeared in the early morning sky in this neighborhood today. Joseph Green, a farmer, declared that they were meteors which fell on his farm. An extensive search of his land by others who saw the lights was fruitless, and many persons believe that an airship had sped over the country. In the Tribune, January 13th, 1910, it is said that at 9 o'clock morning of January 12th, an airship had been seen at Chattanooga, Tennessee. Thousands saw the craft and heard the chug of its engine. Later, the object was reported from Huntsville, Alabama. New York Tribune, January 15th. Dispatch from Chattanooga, January 14th. For the third consecutive day, a mysterious white aircraft passed over Chattanooga about noon today. It came from the north and was traveling southeast, disappearing over Missionary Ridge. On Wednesday, it came south, and on Thursday, it returned north. In the middle of December 1909, someone had won a prize for sailing in a dirigible from St. Cyr to the Eiffel Tower and back. St. Cyr is several miles from Paris. Huntsville, Alabama, and Chattanooga, Tennessee are 75 miles apart. An association between the planet Venus and mysterious visitors either illumines or haunts our data. In the New York Tribune, January 29th, 1910, it is said that a luminous object thought to be Winnex comet had been seen January 28th near Venus, reported from the Manila Observatory. I have another datum that perhaps belongs to this series of events. Every night from the 14th to the 23rd of December 1909, if we accept the account from Marlborough, a luminous object was seen traveling or exploring in the sky of New England. Certainly enough, it was no secret airship of the Earth, unless its navigator went to extremes with the notion that the best way kept as secret is to announce it with red lights and a searchlight. However, our acceptance depends upon general data as to the development of terrestrial aeronautics. But upon the night of December 24th, the object was not seen in New England, and it may have been traveling or exploring somewhere else. Night of the 24th. Venus in the southwest in the early hours of the evening. In the English Mechanic, 104-71 correspondent, who signs himself Wriggle, writes that upon December 24th at 8:30 o'clock in the evening, he saw a luminous object appear above the northeastern horizon and slowly move southward until 8:50 o'clock, then turning around, retracing, and disappearing whence it came. At 9:02, the correspondent is James Ferguson, Rosenbreen, Limerick, Ireland. He writes frequently upon astronomical and meteorological subjects and is still contributing to the somewhat enlightened columns of the English Mechanic. November 19th, 1912, explosive sounds reported from Sunning Hill, Berkshire. No earthquake was recorded at the Kew Observatory, and in the opinion of W.F. Denning, the explosion was in the sky. It was a terrific explosion, according to the Westminster Gazette. There was either one great explosion that rumbled and echoed for 5 minutes, or there were repeated detonations resembling cannonading, like a tremendous discharge of big guns, according to reports from Aberdeen, Lewes, and Epsom. Sunning Hill is about 10 miles from Reading, and Abingdon is near Reading, but the sound was heard in London and down by the English Channel, and even in the island of Alderney. In the Gazette, November 28th, Sir George Fordham, H.G. Fordham, writes that, in his opinion, it was an explosion in the sky. He says, "The phenomena of air shock never have, I believe, been very fully investigated. His admissions and his omissions remain the same as they have been since occurrences of the year 1889. He does not mention that, according to Philip T. Kenway of Hambledon, near Godalming, about 30 miles southeast of Reading, the sounds were heard again the next day from 1:45 to 2 p.m. Mr. Kenway thinks that there had been big gun firing at Portsmouth." In the London Standard, a correspondent writing from Dorking says that the phenomena of the 19th were the concussions from candidating at regular intervals, at quick intervals lasting some seconds each time for 5 minutes by the clock. Develops that reading was the center over which the detonation occurred. In the Westminster Gazette, November 30th, it is said that the shocks had been felt in reading upon the 19th, 20th, and 21st. Only from reading have I recorded a phenomenon upon the 21st. Mr. H.L. Hawkins, a lecturer in geology of the Reading University, writes that according to his investigations, there had been no gun firing in England to which the detonations could be attributed. He says that Fordham's explanation was in accord with his own investigations, or that the detonations had occurred in the sky. He writes that inasmuch as the detonations had occurred upon 3 successive days, a shower of meteors of long duration would have to be supposed. How he ever visualized that unerring shower striking one point over this Earth's surface and nowhere else, day after day, if this Earth be a rotating and revolving body, I cannot see. If he should say that by coincidence this repetition could occur, then by what coincidence of coincidences could the same repetitions have occurred in this same local sky, centering around reading 7 years before? The indications are that this Earth is stationary, no matter how unreasonable that may sound. In the Westminster Gazette, December 9th, W.F. Denning writes that without doubt the phenomena were meteoric explosions, but he alludes to the airquake and strange noises that were heard upon the 19th. He does not mention the detonations that were heard upon the following days. Not one of these writers mentions the sounds that were heard in reading in November 1905. London Standard, November 23rd, 1912. That, according to Lieutenant Colonel Truman of Reading, the sounds had been heard at Reading at 9 a.m. upon the 19th, 1:45 p.m., the 20th, 3:30 p.m., the 21st.